I'm good. Is Scott on today or not?
Well, he's not on virtually, but I was expecting him in the office, to come here in person, so. But we do have a quorum at this
Yeah,
point.
we're good. Okay, yeah, we'll start. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for participating today. We'll start with introductions. I'm Dale Stein, Chair. Darren?
Darren Hickling, Vice Chair.
Erica?
Erica Goodman, voting member.
I'll turn it over to you then, Bethany.
All right, Bethany Bizdu, Executive Director of the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. We'll go this way.
Matt Brower, voting member of the State Committee.
Melissa Gordon, Administrative Assistant.
Jennifer Clifford, CRF Program Manager.
Ben Luskin, Region 5, AEA.
Tim Sheldon, Excelsior Fellow.
Brian Steinmiller, System Director, Land and Water Resources for Hagen Markets.
All right, and I'll go through a roll call of advisory members. We already kind of got our Ag and Markets. Is there anyone else from Ag and Markets on the line? Okay, how about Cornell Cooperative Extension? Cornell Kales.
Yep, Jared's here.
Morning, Jared. CDEA.
Good morning, Caitlin Stewart.
Morning,
Jason
Caitlin.
Cuddeback.
Good morning, Jason. How about DEC? Department of Health?
Good morning, Paul Kasmarczyk here.
Good morning, Morgan Tarbell.
Good morning. How about Department of State? SUNY ESF? And USDA NRCS?
Good morning, Elena Covington.
Good morning. Thanks for joining. All right. Now I'll do a roll call of the staff who are on our hybrid option. Greg Albrecht.
Good morning, Bethany. This is Greg Albrecht, AIM Coordinator with Ag and Markets and the State Committee.
PJ Emmerich.
Hi, good morning, everybody. PJ Emmerich, Region 2 Associate Environmental Analyst.
Ron Bush. Okay. Brendan Jordan.
Hi, good morning. Brendan Jordan, CNMP Specialist for the State Committee.
Tim Clark.
Yep, good morning. I'm Tim Clark, the engineer for the State Committee.
Scott Fickbaum.
Good morning, everyone. Scott Fickbaum here, Region 3 AEA.
Right. Victor DiGiacomo.
Morning, Victor DiGiacomo, Region 1 AEA.
Lauren Prozorski.
Hi, it's Lauren, EBM Program Manager for the State Committee.
All right, and that wraps up the State Committee staff. Oh, Scott's here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Scott Ryan, NYSD voting member.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I just want to welcome all of the districts who are online, as well as any member of the public who have joined us as well. Back to you, Dale.
Bethany, I also just wanted to say Kate Black is on the line. Sorry, I joined a few minutes late.
No worries. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Next on our agenda is review and approve minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to our last meeting's minutes?
Dale, I got one, I guess, maybe correction, maybe just clarification. When we were talking about the time extensions, the one for Onondaga County, there's a statement in there that says that the project's currently being legally debated between shareholders, and I thought stakeholders was the word we wanted to use there.
Yep. You are correct. We will make that adjustment.
All right.
Thank
Other
you.
than that, I'm fine with the minutes with that change.
Any other changes or corrections, anyone? Motion to approve, please.
Done.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll go to voting. Darren?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, I don't believe we have any correspondence, but we have a few updates from Bethany and Brian.
Yeah, so for folks in the room, there are a couple of brochures, newsletters that I put out, if anyone's interested in reviewing those. We have the 2023 Leopold Conservation Award recipients pamphlet that highlights each award recipient from each state, I believe. There is a newsletter from Onondaga County Soil and Water, as well as a tree sale brochure from Franklin County Soil and Water. And I wanted to just share a quick update on the correspondence that we talked about last meeting from Orange County Soil and Water. Staff are currently working on I guess assessing the CCA certification requirement that's written in the soil health policy. We don't have anything to bring to the committee this month. We got a little, had to put that aside to focus on the water quality symposium training sessions. So we will get back working on that and we'll bring it to the state committee at a future meeting. We do have a staff update, but I'll pass that off to Brian.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Bethany, Dale, and all of the committee. Thank you for having me here today. I'll just briefly talk a little bit about staffing. And I think we've talked about this already in the past, but we are going through a pretty significant recruitment era here, where we're able to hire openly and competitively, based on qualifications through the New York Helps program. And we will have our first hire through that program starting with us next week. And this will be the position that will be backfilling Bethany's program role. So Associate Environmental Analyst for Water Quality Programs. It will include Ag Non-Point Source, as well as the remaining contracts to the CAFO Waste Storage and Transfer Program, the contracts we have with the Source Water Buffer Program, and also will be key into helping us launch the new CAFO program as well. And that individual is Jason Kokinos, a familiar name to some, I'm sure. Jason worked with us for a couple of years as program analyst, working directly with Bethany to analyze the Ag Non-Point program, to assist in all aspects of the Ag Non-Point program, certainly data management, but much more than that, program administration, contract administration. So we're really eager to have Jason back, and he will start on Thursday, the 28th. So by the next state committee meeting, you'll see Jason here, and really great, like I said, to have him back, and please, join us in welcoming him back when we get his contact information out there for everybody. So other news in the recruitment front, we are still currently, as the Division of Land and Water Resources, going through recruitment for the Northern New York Associate Environmental Analyst that will cover electric development, renewable energy, and other energy transmission development projects in the North Country. We're going to be going through a series of interviews in the next week and moving forward with recruitment there. We also have received approval to backfill another associate environmental analyst for the Soil and Water Committee and committee programs. This would be the position that Greg vacated when he was promoted to the principal environmental analyst position. So stay tuned for that. That will be advertised soon, as soon as we're ready with a job description and the details. So more to come, and by the next committee meeting, we should have an update on that as well. So I think that's all I have on staff. Good news.
Excellent. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the Ag 9-point source. Bethany?
Thank you. So unfortunately, Tyler is not able to be with us today, so I will be sharing his program dashboard with you all. So it is up on the screen, and there really hasn't been too much of a change from our last meeting in February. All of the round 29 Ag 9-point source contracts are currently pending. However, they are moving, which is a plus. We had our first round 29 contract be sent out to Soil and Water Conservation, to the Soil and Water Conservation District for signature. Once that happens and the district signs it and returns it, the contract is then forwarded to the Office of the State Comptroller and then the Attorney General's office for signature. Hopefully that process will move fairly quickly. We are trialing one contract at this point. There have been some changes in some of the contract template documents that we use for the Ag 9-point source contracts, and we want to make sure we get one through the full process to head off any potential questions that we might get throughout, just to kind of keep things moving as efficiently as possible. So that's really good news, and hopefully that process will go fast and we'll get the remaining 30 plus contracts through. We have not really started working on the RFP for round 30 yet, but coming up here soon in the next couple of months. Now with Jason coming on board, we'll get to work putting that RFP together and start bringing it up and discussing it at our State Programs Advisory Committee. I kind of went off track, but reading through the dashboard, we have a total of, like I mentioned, 32 pending contracts for a total of approximately $13.4 million. We have a total of 147 active contracts from rounds 22 through 28 for a total of approximately $52 million. Overall, we have, between those rounds, 365 contracts for a total of 121.7 million. And just, I guess, a fun fact that I looked up the other day, over the course of the life of the Ag 9-point source program since 1994, we've been able to award approximately $250 million to soil and water districts and then subsequently out to farms across the state. So that's a pretty incredible number for 30 years. So I wanted to share that with the group as well.
We have one contract for every day of the year.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, we are there. There are no amendments to bring to the state committee this month. I guess we got them all out of the way last month, it seems like. So are there any questions about Ag 9-point source at this point?
Thank you, Bethany. I was curious about what the total was, 250 million.
Approximately.
A lot of money
Yep.
gone out. Approximately, yeah, but it's still even more than I thought it was. Thank you. Next on our agenda is Jennifer with the CRF program.
Thanks, Dale. I do not have any amendments today, so we'll do a contract update. Great news, our round 7 procurement record was approved, so we can move forward with contracts for round 7. So all of those, we have 60 contracts in round 7 that will be moving forward, and those are all pending and going through internal review now, and then can move forward to contract. So that's great news for round 7. We've had a few closeouts coming through regularly, so that's great news. We have one more closeout in round 2, and that round will be ready to be closed very soon. That's in my hands. We're going through that review right now. So round 2 will be almost completely completed here. Probably by the next committee meeting, for sure. So that's exciting news too. And then no amendments this month, and we have some round 8 discussion later on the agenda. So that's all I have for right now. Any questions for CRF or?
I think we're all set with the CRF portion.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Jennifer.
Great, thank you very much. Next on our agenda is Bethany with the strategic plan discussion.
Thank you, Dale. Let me pull up my presentation. That's not correct. Okay. So, thank you. We are here today to talk about the 2024-2028 strategic plan for the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. This strategic plan establishes the mission statement for the state committee, identifies values and vision for the future, and defines broad strategic goals and objectives that will help us ultimately to meet those goals. So the draft plan has been made available on the department's website with the state committee meeting materials. I have also sent out the draft plan with a lot of the draft changes still showing to the voting members as well in advance of this meeting. And I'll touch on this a little bit, I think on my next slide, but we also did provide the draft plan to our advisory members and soil and water conservation districts back at the end of January to try to get some additional feedback and comments from those folks. So we also have some hard copies here in the room for the folks that joined us in Albany. But the 2024-2028 strategic plan will be taking effect, I guess, retroactively starting January 1st of this year and will expire at the end of 2028 on December 31st. So before I really dive into the plan, I just wanted to review, I guess, the process that we went through to update the strategic plan. So we spent the better part of 2023 working on this strategic plan as best we could, and started by sending a survey out to soil and water conservation districts to get their feedback on how well they thought the state committee implemented I guess at the time, the current strategic plan. But we also took that opportunity in that survey to get a lot of comments and feedback and suggestions from districts on future direction, future priorities. We were able to send that survey out to districts in May of 2023. And then a month later in June, after receiving the responses from the survey, we held regional manager meetings with districts in the 5 regions across the state, and used that as an opportunity to get further feedback and have some discussions with district staff in person about the survey. I took some specific questions and and the responses that we got from districts, and got some additional feedback from folks in the room. And then taking all the feedback from the survey and the information that we received during the regional managers meetings in the summer, we began drafting updates to the strategic plan. The original intent was to be able to bring this to the state committee in December for approval, but our timeline got thrown off whack a little bit. So I presented on the draft strategic plan in January to the Conservation Districts Employees Association. And I just want to thank the CDEA division reps who helped me get the draft strategic plan out to soil and water conservation districts to get, provide the opportunity to get more feedback from them. We also presented the draft strategic plan to our technical advisory committee, which, as we all know, is comprised of advisory members to the state committee. Made that presentation on January 29th, and also provided an opportunity for advisory members to provide additional feedback or any thoughts or comments that they might have had. And so following up from all of that, we did get some feedback from 3 soil and water conservation districts as a result of sharing it out. And now here we are in March. I am here presenting the draft strategic plan to you all for discussion and hopefully approval. So what is in our strategic plan? We have several different sections. There's a table of contents. It starts off with a page of acronyms, because if you have taken the time to look through it, or even a past version of the strategic plan, it is loaded with a number of different acronyms. So we wanted to right up front define those and make sure everyone understood what those all meant. There is an introduction section that includes a write-up of the history of soil and water conservation districts and the state committee, an explanation of the makeup of the state committee. We explain about this plan, talk about what's in it and how we want to move forward with it. We have a mission statement, a statement of values, a vision for the future, and then our 5 strategic goals. So just as a reminder, back in July, at our July State Committee meeting, I started to present on the strategic plan, and we discussed expanding there were 3 strategic goals in the 2019-2023 strategic plan, and we kind of broke those out a little bit to make 5 strategic goals. So in general, the goals included in our plan are similar to what was included in past plans, but we broke them out a little bit more so we could get down a little bit more specific and focused in each goal. So I won't spend a huge lot of time on this, but the introduction of the strategic plan includes a description of the work soil and water conservation districts do and the main function of the state committee. We also tried to summarize and feature the main program areas of that districts work within, specifically the AEM framework and associated programs, as well as the work districts do in the stormwater, stream corridor management, invasive species, green infrastructure, and municipal assistance realm. Hang on one moment here. Okay. And then rounding out that introduction, we described the new environmental initiatives that will be in place for the foreseeable future and will likely impact the work of the state committee and soil and water conservation districts. So those include the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or the CLCPA, as well as the Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Environmental Bond Act. The next couple of sections, like I touched on, the history just describes the establishment of soil and water conservation districts and how the state committee came to be. That section didn't really change much, but I think I did add something towards the end of it, of recognizing that the district roles within their counties and communities continue to expand and evolve to meet the local needs within each of their counties. The state committee section of the first portion of the plan describes the makeup of the state committee. So it lays out our 5 voting members and who you all represent, as well as the 9 other advisory members. And in that section, I wanted to make it as consistent as possible with the Soil and Water Conservation District law, because that's, that is the letter and that is what we follow. So I wanted to make it consistent with that and how the state committee is made up. The About This Plan section describes the layout of the strategic plan, but we did include in that a commitment to review and revisit the strategic plan on an annual basis to evaluate our progress and assess priorities for the upcoming year. I think it's going to be really important to do that, just to check in with our own selves to see how we're doing in meeting the goals of the strategic plan. But it also, that was inspired by soil and water conservation districts who do that with their annual plans of work throughout the year, regularly checking in to see how they are, how things are going and what progress is being made. So I also felt like it was important for the state committee to do that as well. So our mission statement, by and large, remains the same as what it was in the 2019-2023 strategic plan, with one little minor change here you can see in red on the screen. So as it is written now, the mission of the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee is to advance comprehensive natural resources management in partnership with and through the support of local soil and water conservation districts. This was a suggestion that was provided in comments that we received from the state committee, or from the survey that was sent out to soil and water conservation districts. And I really liked the addition and felt that it reinforced the relationship between the state committee as a whole and soil and water conservation districts. I think we touched on this a little bit as well back in July, but I think before moving off this slide, I just want to pause and see if there are any major reactions or questions from anyone. All right, moving forward. So the next section of the plan is our statement of values. And I apologize to folks on the line in particular if the writing is very small. I tried to copy and paste them in there as best I could. Again, by and large, these are carryovers from our past strategic plans. I don't feel like the values of the state committee have changed all that much, but we did go through and update things a little bit. So when I was working through this section, I was challenging myself to really think about what does the state committee value, what's important to the state committee. So the list we have on the screen are comprehensive and science-based natural resource management on lands, both public and private, cooperative partnerships that work to achieve natural resource conservation goals and promote natural resource management on a watershed scale. We value local leadership and decision-making to manage natural resources. A strong voluntary incentive-based local delivery system provided through conservation districts focused on long-term adoption of conservation practices. We value trust between landowners, farmers, local officials, soil and water conservation district personnel, New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee, and other conservation partners. I do want to pause on that one really quick because I think it was during our technical advisory committee meeting, I received a comment or a suggestion rather, to highlight our federal partners in that bullet, but I left it as it is because I felt like the other conservation partners was all encompassing of everyone else that is an advisory member on this committee and who we work with as a state committee. It kind of was just more broad and all encompassing. The next bullet, we value a system that enables districts to adapt to an evolving landscape, environmental, technical, and political. The environmental stewardship role of New York farmers and the benefits of a well-managed farm to local communities. And we value strong communication between Soil and Water Conservation District staff, district boards, and the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. Are there any other values that you all feel need to be included here or made more clear? Or you want included that we might have missed? We can think about it as we move along. So our vision for the future, again, a lot of these are carryovers from the previous very well-written plan, I will say. A lot of forethought and vision was written into that strategic plan. But when I was trying to update this particular section, again, was really thinking about where we want to be in the future, where we want to go. So as a vision for the future, we've written in here, we want to have a strong and collaborative partnership with soil and water conservation districts that are actively engaged in program and policy development. We would like to see an expanded district workforce with enhanced technical capacity to address local natural resource issues and meet statewide environmental conservation goals. We'd like to see locally led conservation that is science-based and natural resource driven. We would like to see that conservation district legislative authority and funding fully addresses emerging natural resource management and environmental conservation issues. And another thing I wanted to pause on for that particular bullet, right now, I don't believe there are any pressing needs in terms of legislative authority, but I think over the course of the next 5 years, there could be emerging issues that may require new legislative authority. So we want to still keep that prominent in our vision for the future. We would like to see district operations that are well managed and financially secure to effectively grow and address local natural resource issues. And we would like to see a heightened public awareness and acknowledgement of soil and water conservation districts. pause here for one quick second. How are folks? What's your immediate reaction to our vision for the future?
Looks good to me. I think you pretty well have it covered.
Right. Perfect. So now we move into really the meat of the strategic plan, which are our strategic goals. The first strategic goal that is included is conservation district operations. So within this goal, we are hoping to support soil and water conservation districts, continuing efforts to build and maintain highly qualified managerial, technical, and administrative staff with the necessary experience, knowledge, and demonstrated skills to fulfill comprehensive conservation services and other requirements for conservation work. We also want to encourage district boards of directors to be leaders in their field and engage in strategic and annual planning activities to help direct effective conservation services. So within this section, to try to keep things as organized as possible, I broke the objectives out into 4 different categories. The first is the state aid to districts. Second is the district staff capacity. Third is training. And fourth is state committee staff capacity. So I won't review all of these bullet for bullet, but in the first section, which is our state aid to districts section, this focuses on primarily the state aid to districts program and helping districts to meet the performance measures through training, through developing tools to track performance measure accomplishments. That bullet in particular, the developed tools for soil and water districts, was put in there, I believe, based on a comment we received from a district managers meeting. And any tool we can provide to districts to help them track those performance measures and make it as easy and as efficient as possible, I think it's important. We've also added in that we will provide annual performance measure training to districts and district boards to increase their understanding of the processes, procedures, and requirements. When we got thinking about it, it's very similar to what we would do with our competitive programs. Every time an RFP is announced, we offer a webinar for soil and water districts to kind of go through the RFP, the rules of the program, and the like. So, something very similar we thought could be beneficial to districts would be to provide an annual training of the performance measures to make sure everyone's on board. The next section within this strategic goal is all about district staff capacity. Again, this focuses on building, state committee helping to build district staff capacity through recruitment and retention. We obviously would like to, in our goal or vision for the future, want to see an expanded district workforce. So, here are some objectives that will help us help districts to do that. We want to help to grow the eligible candidates that could be or could work for soil and water districts. In response to our strategic plan survey, districts requested more support for administrative staff. So in response to that, we included an objective, it's the second one from the bottom here on the screen, that commits the state committee to providing administrative support to district staff and to develop action items to address those particular needs. Along those same lines, I also did receive a comment from Soil and Water Conservation District suggesting that we recognize succession planning. And which is an important part of staff retention, in my opinion. So along those same lines, we included a bullet here to identify ways that the state committee can assist district managers and boards with succession planning and develop action items accordingly. Our next section of the district operations goal is all about training, providing training to district staff and district boards based on identified needs. These could be district director training modules or engaging in with the Office of the State Comptroller or other state agencies to provide particular types of training. We participate regularly in annual training events such as the Water Quality Symposium, NYACD annual meeting, the administrative conference, etc. We also are committing to conducting an annual evaluation of the district director training modules and update those as needed. A new bullet that I wanted to highlight here is that we are committing to developing a district operations training module based on prominent operation manual topics to provide enhanced district administration guidance. One effort that we're going to be starting up here really soon is an update of the district operations manual. We are trying to reinvigorate the district operations subcommittee. Special thanks to Ben Luskin and Victor DiGiacomo for heading up that effort. But we an initial task of that subcommittee will be to get that operations manual updated. And from there, we can develop a training module that can be provided to districts to enhance their administration. And then the last section, something that we felt was really important to call out and highlight in the strategic plan of the state committee is a recognition of our state committee staff capacity, and recognizing that it will be important for us here within the department and the state committee to grow our staff to be able to provide more support for soil and water conservation districts. So based on a staffing plan that was approved and something we want to keep working towards, we'd like to recruit a state aid to districts program manager / district operations specialist to manage the state aid to districts program. Currently, that role is being filled by Ben Luskin, who also has regional coordinator duties. So that's a lot. And we'd like to recruit regional program assistants, which would be able to provide support to our regional coordinator staff in the work that they do out in the field. And then we threw in the last bullet more as a kind of a catch-all, but we would like to regularly evaluate the state committee staffing plan and revise it accordingly to accommodate the needs and priorities. Any questions, comments on our conservation district operations goal? I do see a bunch of chat coming through. Is there any questions that need addressing?
Well, if you want to cover those at the end after you go through the presentation.
Perfect.
Well, I had a couple questions. One was for the one slide there, you identify areas, provide administrative support to district staff.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any specific needs that were mentioned as far as administrative staff? Anything in particular they needed assistance with? I'm kind of just curious.
No, the survey, there was a couple different comments in that survey to districts. It was more of a suggestion that we need to provide more support to district administrators and just administrative support in general. So I wanted to recognize that here, and then as we go on, maybe dive in a little deeper and figure out what the specific needs actually are and how we can address
I was
those.
just curious if there's any specifics, because I know probably that varies from district to district. So And then the other thing I wondered about is on the last slide there, you talked about the regional program assistance. Is there any thought yet? I mean, I'm guessing that's probably a fairly early discussion as to how many and where they would be located and so on.
Try to cover that one. Yes, and evolving and ongoing discussions on that, but initially we were looking at a model that we had put into place around 2011, 12, when we had some attrition in our regional AEA staff and also a real increased workload in contracts. As Bethany Bisdu and Ron Bush came to the state committee for the first time under contract with Cortland County Soil and Water District for regional program assistance work. So we were looking at that as a model and doing the same, kind of looking at initially the contract workload and what's out there to determine the need for 3 regional assistance. And of course, you know, that's a starting point. And then the additional regional program assistance that we can get will help our regional coordinators to do all the other work that they do more regularly. But we kind of looked at regions 1, 2, and 3 as a good starting point because that's where the majority of the contracts through Agnog Point, CRF, even have another
Is the thinking to do it the same way with contracts with the district or hire them as staff for the?
Yep, and hire them as staff, yep, through the department. Yep, exactly. And as Bethany mentioned before, you know, that was included on a staffing plan that, you know, we received support from the department and we're working towards implementing.
Right.
Thank you.
Great questions.
Okay, so our next strategic goal is all about public relations and outreach. And through this goal, we are hoping to expand public awareness and understanding of soil and water conservation districts and to support soil and water conservation districts in their individual public outreach activities. So similarly, to try to keep things organized, I've separated out the objectives in this particular goal into 3 categories. The first is public awareness and recognition. Second is reporting and outreach. And the third is, again, state committee staff capacity. And this, just want to say before moving along, this particular strategic goal was, I think, really built out a lot more with some additional objectives based on feedback that we received from districts through that survey I keep referring back to, which suggested that they need increased support with public outreach and awareness. So we really tried to focus on this category and adding some additional objectives. So I'll just summarize a little bit. The first section is the public awareness and recognition. And, you know, that's all about getting the word out there, spreading awareness, getting soil and water districts to be more recognized. So we will be focused on disseminating information throughout the state regarding activities and programs of soil and water conservation districts to promote the work that they do. We are going to be committing to hosting an annual conservation project tour for state committee voting members and principal advisory members to showcase conservation district projects and partnerships. This is something that we have tried to commit to in the past, and I think we've done a pretty good job of at least getting one meeting and tour put together. But we would like to make sure to extend that invitation out to our principal advisory members as well to really reach a broad audience. Similarly, we want to include district-led presentations during our regular state committee meetings to continue building awareness of district programs and services and really highlight the awesome projects and the work that districts do across the state. Again, that was something that was done maybe more on a regular basis and something that we would like to get back to. Just last year in 2023, we were able to include, I think, at least 3 different district presentations. Hamilton County presented on a really awesome stabilization culvert replacement project. Jefferson County shared with us the work they're doing and presented on some really neat buffer projects that involved working with schools. And we also had a presentation from the Upper Susquehanna Coalition on a project, a contract that we had with them and the outcomes. So that was really great, and I find that those presentations are really engaging and something that we want to focus on doing more over the next 5 years. Then the rest of the objectives here just are more about working towards building recognition of the services districts can offer and recognizing the environmental stewardship of farmers and making sure that we are improving our access, our public access to non-sensitive information, again, to just promote the work that's being done out there and highlight really awesome projects. The next section is reporting and outreach, focused on getting reports out there, getting outreach out there, and providing outreach materials to soil and water conservation districts to help them with their individual efforts. So here you'll see objectives like distributing an annual report of the state committee and soil and water conservation district accomplishments. That is something we do annually, but I wanted to make sure it was built into our strategic plan as well. And we want to share that report with state committee members, districts, New York State legislators, and the governor's office. From that report, we will provide annual report highlights from that annual report to districts that can then be used and published in your local district newsletters. That was a suggestion we received during one of our regional manager meetings back in June. I thought that was a really great idea, and that's something that's an easy, something we would be able to accomplish. So I wanted to recognize it here in the plan. We also want to work with the Department of Ag and Markets to publish articles and project highlights through the department's newsletter and social media outlets. Our front office has a great press team. They're awesome to work with. So I see that being a really great way to get district work and district highlights out into the world. And then along those same lines, we want to work with the Department of Ag and Markets and the resources here to make sure we're providing outreach through existing outreach programs to New York's historically underrepresented and underserved communities. And I'll touch on this real quick. I was going to mention it later on, but an objective here is to update and expand the outreach materials and tools available to districts to help with their local efforts. Just last week, we were able to distribute cover crop signs. We have an example here in the room, but these signs are intended to be, installed at a field where a cover crop was planted to showcase what was there and why it was there. We were able to distribute, I think, approximately 450 signs out to soil and water conservation districts to then, we'll turn around and get them out there, stick them in the ground, and showcase the work that they're able to do with their farms. So that was really awesome. And then rounding out this strategic goal is again a recognition of the state soil and water staff capacity needs. So we would ideally like to recruit a position to focus on outreach and public awareness and recognition. That particular position, the duties of that could probably also be wrapped into another staff member, but I wanted to still recognize that there is a need to have a dedicated person to do that work. And then again, we'll evaluate that staffing plan and revise as needed. Questions on our public relations and outreach goal? All right, moving along. Our next strategic goal is all about data management, quantification, measurement, modeling, reporting, and verification of benefits of conservation BMPs. Through this goal, we would like to expand and enhance data management, quantification, measuring, modeling, verifying, and reporting capabilities to effectively and efficiently analyze and report on program data and accomplishments. This goal, I think, with the CLCPA and the recommendations written into the Climate Action Council scoping plan, as well as with the Bond Act funding, data reporting is going to be really important, and it would be a very big focus for the state committee over the next several years. So this goal was really important and something we wanted to make sure we got right. So the first section, again, this was divided up to try to keep things a little bit more organized. First section is all about data collection, quantification, and management. So for a while now, we've actually been trying to develop a cloud-based data management system that will allow for just more efficient data input and data management. Right now, we operate using an Access database that's been in place for many years. It's still functioning and does the job, but I think we could do the job a lot better and a lot more efficiently if we were able to upgrade that system. So that is an important priority that we wanted to recognize in the strategic plan to continue to work on that. We also would like to work with our other state and federal partners to expand data sharing and reporting. Because we know the projects that we support and that we contract out, but we don't always know what's going on from our partner side, and that will be important to share that information. And we want to focus on tracking conservation and ecological service data to assist in meeting our statewide goals and initiatives, like I mentioned. Data modeling and analysis is the next kind of category, and the objectives here will focus on exploring various data analysis models to be able to translate our program data into decision-making information. We want to collaborate with partners to research and develop data analysis models that we can use to determine our anticipated benefits from conservation practices. And we are committing to regularly analyzing our conservation system data with models to, again, estimate the conservation benefits. Data reporting focuses a lot on providing timely and accurate data to the state, federal, and local governments, providing streamlined data communication with soil and water conservation districts, and being timely when we do get a request from a soil and water conservation district or a coalition of soil and water conservation districts, and we provide the data, their requested data to them in a timely manner to help enhance and implement their projects. We'd like to report on our program data to assist in meeting those statewide goals. So not only the CLCPA, but also TMDL's 9-element watershed plans, etc. And a part of that is will be to provide districts with the tools and training to track their projects and evaluate their program accomplishments as well. So they can be tracking what's going on in their neck of the woods and encourage that effort amongst districts. So in the state committee staff capacity section of this goal, we would like to recruit additional staff to increase support for our climate-specific programs and initiatives. And again, evaluate the plan as necessary. Comments or questions on this goal? All right. So our next strategic goal is the big one. It is our comprehensive natural resources management, technical services, and program delivery. It's a pretty long goal and encompasses a lot of areas. Within this goal, we would like to provide opportunities to achieve a high level of environmental stewardship across all land uses and types through science-based comprehensive natural resource management, and support district technical capacity to provide a wide range of services and encourage successful program delivery. Within this goal, there are a number of different subsections. Specifically, we have a section for the agricultural environmental management, stormwater management, emergency management and community resiliency, ecosystem-based management, watershed management. A new addition to the strategic plan is a forest management and afforestation, reforestation section. And we have conservation program delivery and development and our state community staff capacity. So because of the size and the number of objectives we have in each one of these little sections, I didn't paste them all directly into the slide, but I did try to summarize here the content of the plan. So folks in the room, you might want to flip to the actual section in the strategic plan. If you're following along at home, again, that strategic plan is on the department's website or was sent out back in January if you're able to find an old email. But the first section that we have in this strategic goal is all about agricultural environmental management. There are some subsections in here to identify priorities, objectives that are specific to technical tools, guidance and training, and then a section that is specific to the planner certification program. So within our priorities, we are committed to expanding planning priority areas that are covered by AIM, specifically climate change mitigation, and I believe aquaculture is a new one that we included in there. That was something that was recognized and highlighted in the governor's State of the State address. So we wanted to also recognize it here as a priority. And beyond expanding the planning priority areas, we want to also encourage increased investment in cost-effective BMP systems to enhance natural resources and promote climate preparedness and adaptation and improve farm viability. And we want to also encourage the development of AEM strategic plans to include comprehensive natural resource management and environmental conservation goals, targets and priorities associated with not only water quality, but with climate change mitigation, climate adaptation and resiliency, and other emerging priorities. Through the objectives in this particular section, we really want to address some questions that have been coming in from districts about how to build in the climate change mitigation projects into their AEM strategies, as well as individual farm plans. The technical tools and guidelines and training is a subsection that focuses all about developing tools that make all of those, planning priorities a possibility. Planning tools, implementation guidelines, and we also want to focus on developing tools that can be used to increase the AEM participation within historically underserved and underrepresented farming community. I think an initiative that was undertaken last year was to translate the AEM Tier 1 information into Spanish that could then be used with Spanish-speaking farms. I think that's a really awesome step to try to address some of the underserved or underrepresented populations, and something that we want to continue to build on. We are committing to continuing to update the Ag BMP systems catalog to make sure that our BMP system listings are current and encompass broad environmental benefits, not just water quality, but also, highlight the other benefits that they have as well. And some carryover objectives, I guess, from the previous strategic plans. Just we want to continue to work with soil and water districts to strengthen their AEM strategies through local, regional, statewide meetings, trainings, and workshops, and also work to enable conservation districts to receive that full AEM reimbursement by helping them to identify overlooked AEM opportunities and informing them of new AEM eligible activities as well. Oh, and then really quick, the planner certification program is something that is highlighted in the strategic plan as well, and we would like to increase the participation in the AEM planner certification program for soil and water districts, but also within public and private sector organizations. As part of this program, we need to commit to performing quality assurance reviews to encourage development of effective AEM Tier 3A plans and CNMPs. And also, we will annually be updating the AEM Certified Planner Directory and making sure that is available to districts and public. Next section is all about stormwater management, emergency management, and community resiliency. So the priorities identified in this section focus on identifying opportunities for districts to be involved in existing state and federal programs that support green infrastructure and stormwater projects. We also want to support a streamlined permitting process for soil and water districts to be able to get some of this really critical conservation work on the ground quickly and efficiently. For technical tools, guidelines, and training, the state committee, we are committing to promoting district capacity and providing promoting the district capacity to provide assistance to municipalities regarding stormwater and post-flood stream intervention. And in the certification section, we will continue to support the New York State Erosion and Sediment Control Certification Program and support the CDEA in any way that we can, or any way that when needed, in their efforts to make the DEC 4-hour course available online as well. For ecosystem-based management, priorities here are to try to expand district understanding of the value of incorporating an EBM approach to successfully implement watershed management plans. We'd also like to diversify funding opportunities to support comprehensive natural resource management across all land types. As we move forward with our new subcommittee, our State Programs Advisory Committee, we would like to use that structure to try to seek input and feedback from districts regarding program ideas to help meet emerging and existing needs and address comprehensive natural resource management. For watershed management, the priorities focus on supporting district leadership in the watershed management realm and encourage implementation of best management practices that will support the goals written into watershed management plans. We also want to encourage district involvement in other, watershed planning efforts, specifically source water protection planning and implementation projects. We have some specific objectives that are or look at or support watershed coalitions of conservation districts. So just to summarize, we would like to promote and support watershed coalitions of conservation districts and continue to advocate for increased access to funding for those coalitions to increase staff capacity and provide technical support on a watershed-wide level. So forest management and afforestation, reforestation. I mentioned a couple minutes ago, this is a new section to this particular strategic goal. We decided that it would be very relevant to add something of this nature to the strategic plan, given the goals written into the CLCPA and the recommendations that were included in the Climate Action Council scoping plan. Also, to help recognize the initiatives that were included in the governor's State of the State address, most recently in her commitment to plant, I think, what was it, 25 million trees. So we felt it was very relevant and timely to start building out a section in the strategic plan that looks at forest management, afforestation, and reforestation. So at this point, it's relatively small compared to our other sections, but it's a starting point and something we can build on. But here we want to support district involvement with and leadership in forest management, afforestation, reforestation. We want to develop technical tools, planning and implementation guidelines and trainings that will support all of that work on non-ag land. Because right now we're starting to work on some of those things specifically targeted towards ag land. So, the reason why we called out non-ag, or that's the reason why we called out non-ag in that bullet. We'd like to expand on current program concepts and or develop new program concepts to support district implementation of forest management, afforestation, and reforestation projects, and help grow district capacity to be able to provide the services in their communities, and just broadly promote forest management, afforestation, and reforestation activities to support New York State carbon sequestration goals. All right, so rounding out this particular strategic goal are our conservation program delivery and development, as well as our state committee staff capacity sections. Within the program delivery and development, we have objectives that focus on funding. So we want to continue to advocate for increased funding for the AIM base and programs that fall under the AEM framework. Advocate for increased funding to the state aid to districts program, as well as all EPF line items where districts are eligible, applicants are eligible to receive the funds. We would like to advocate for and support the development of new funding opportunities and initiatives to promote high level of environmental stewardship across all land uses, including stormwater management, emergency management, and community resiliency, with a specific focus on municipal assistance programming. In the program development category, there are objectives that address or focus on expanding eligible practices and increasing program offerings to support implementation of more innovative BMPs. Those objectives also focus to support the goals and actions written in our Climate Action Council scoping plan through new and existing programs to address both agricultural and forestry related climate change strategies. And we'd like to actively work with districts to seek opportunities to implement conservation measures as identified through harmful algal bloom action plans, 9-element watershed plans, TMDLs, or other watershed plans. The program administration section highlights objectives that focus on increasing the efficiency of our program processes and procedures, contract processing, claim for payment review and processing, all that stuff we'd like to be focused on getting more efficient at. And the technical capacity category is all about building district technical capacity. So increasing district technical capacity and supporting technical certifications such as CCA, AEM certified planner, CPESC, and PEs or professional forester certifications. We want to continue to promote our conservation approval authority for districts and expand the course offerings when applicable. That was, we received a lot of comments about that during our June regional managers meetings and the need to try to build out, what we offer through that conservation approval authority. So, that is going to be a focus for us over the next 5 years and maybe beyond. But also we will be committing to working with the Conservation Districts Employees Association to promote and offer regional training opportunities and promote district mentoring between, experienced staff and newer staff. And then in the state committee staff capacity section, we'd like to recruit a forestry or and related programming specialist, again, to better provide support to districts in those areas. We would like to recruit additional program assistants to support state committee or soil and water conservation district program needs. Within this category, it's also important that our state committee staff maintain their professional certifications so that they can continue to provide assistance to districts with training, project review, etc. And again, we'll evaluate that staffing plan as necessary. That was a lot. Is there any questions there?
Do you have any sense of how many districts currently have a fairly active forest management program?
Not off the top of my head. Not many. I don't think there's many.
A handful.
Okay.
Probably like a handful.
Has there been any outreach to the districts to find out, a survey or some way of finding out how many want to, get into this area?
No, I don't think so.
I think it'd be interesting to know, who is involved now in providing assistance to landowners with forestry management, and also maybe try to find out, like through some type of survey, how many districts have a need for, because I think there's counties that probably don't have anybody, but could expand that and be more involved in that if the opportunities were there. And then there's probably other districts where forestry is just not a thing.
Yes.
So I'd be curious to know myself, just like where the need is. If we're gonna start getting into this area and providing funding for it, I think we need to know what the interest level is.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Can you put out a survey to the districts to get a comment on who is actively doing it now?
Missed the first part of that, Dale. Can you say that again?
Can you put out a survey to the districts just electronically to get a feel on who is actively doing it now and perhaps what it entails in their districts, if they could explain it then?
Yeah, absolutely. That could be something we could turn around pretty quickly. And I see in the chat, Caitlin Stewart, CDEA president, offered to help with that too. So we can work together on putting something together for sure.
Miss Bethany, this is Caitlin. Let me know how I can help. If it's either assisting with developing or disseminating, we're absolutely there for you. And I can say that Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation District is very interested in developing a forestry program. Katie Witkovitz is our district technician who heads up our AIM program. And she, through her networking with local farmers, has found out that there is quite a need for forestry programming in Hamilton County, and she really wants to be that contact point for our local producers.
Well, I guess that was kind of what I was thinking, Caitlin, is there's counties like yours, and to be honest with you, I'm surprised you don't have a program knowing the county and what's there. And I think it'd be interesting to find out, you know, there again, I would assume you had one, but you don't. And so, you know, I think this information will be helpful for us to get a better handle on what's out there.
Franklin, Jefferson, and Oswego have been integral in developing some of the new forestry opportunities where they're offering through CRF Round 8, and they have staff that are dedicated or work on that area.
Warren County is another example too.
Matt, and everybody, this is Greg. It's a really good question and discussion, and definitely an opportunity for a refresh. I forget if it was through the Employees Association, Caitlin, or if it might have the regional coordinators on our staff I think managed it. But back in 2019, we took some stock of both existing forester staff in districts, as well as districts that didn't have a forester on staff but were interested in expanding into forestry services of some measure. And this is all in an interest, like Jennifer said, I think, of supporting those interests with training, and gotta give, again, hats off to Jefferson, Oswego, Franklin, and the Upper Susquehanna Coalition, and key forester staff in each of those that have really started a regular forester training track at both the Water Quality Symposium and the Water Quality and the Conservation Skills Workshop. So to lead off with that, we kind of wanted to get a sense of you know, what's the audience there, and I just looked up that spreadsheet from 2019, and there were back then about 12. Again, we didn't chase down, you know, SAF certifications or anything like that. There were about 12 districts with foresters on staff, and then of all the districts, there were about 23 that answered the question of interest in expanding into forestry services. So that's, you know, in the neighborhood of half the districts are getting there, 40%. And a refresh of that and specific interests would be a good one. So a 2024 survey makes sense to me.
So much has happened between then and now regarding state programs, policies. Regenerate New York, of course, the reforestation, afforestation, strategies in the scoping plan. And, you know, when we were starting to talk to Division of Lands and Forests, as we have with the Division of Water for so many years, it became pretty clear that the AEN model and district delivery system was a highlight of those discussions. And it wasn't just, you know, you know, one-sided either. It was certainly bringing, you know, the district programs as they were existing at the time into the fold, and thinking about how we can expand even more in regards to the forestry. So it's been a growing topic for a lot of years. I didn't say hot topic, I said growing, because I'm thinking about trees and growth and forest. But yeah, exciting area of growth for districts over the last 5 years, and hopefully over the next 5 and then some.
Yeah, and I think, and then the other question, I guess, along those lines is, has anybody been on a yearly basis sort of tracking through the district's tree programs, how many trees are?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's good information to share with the public, I think, is that, you know, especially if they're talking about programs to plant more trees. I think it's important for the districts to take credit for what they're already accomplishing.
The 2020 tree and shrub program, if you remember, was right at the cusp of the beginning of COVID. Everything shut down, and we worked really hard with the District Employees Association to make sure they could adapt those tree and shrub programs to be able to provide that service to the public. And from that effort then came an article we wrote in that year's annual report. And we get a lot of that information in the district annual reports that come into us. It's right around 500,000 tree seedlings a year.
Yeah, and I think it's good each year to sort of put that information out there to the public and politicians, so they know the districts have been for years doing this.
Yeah, and can report out on cooperative conservation, so maybe a segue into, we can talk a little bit more about the work we're doing with DLF.
Any other questions? All right, so entering into our last strategic goal, and that is all about cooperation. This is our cooperation conservation goal. And through this strategic goal, we are hoping to promote cooperative partnerships among federal, state, local agencies, and educational institutions to advance common natural resource conservation goals in support of soil and water conservation district program delivery. So this goal has been kind of broken out into a couple different sections. We have our build partnerships section, advance common conservation goals section, and we define, our various state committees, subcommittees. So in the build partnerships section, all about building partnerships, working together with our partners, whether they be the soil and water districts, other advisory members of the state committee, or expanding those partnerships to other organizations that are relevant and we have common goals. I've added the first two bullets here. They're both about conducting managers meetings with soil and water conservation district managers. Specifically, the first is to conduct regional manager meetings on an annual basis. Like we did in 2023, we have one meeting in each of our regions of the state to really get out there and communicate one-on-one with districts in those areas. We want to be able to do that on an annual basis. Those are a little bit easier to do regularly, but we also would like to commit to conducting a statewide district managers meeting every other year or as funding is available. This is also a great way to get folks together, collaborating and networking, and is something that we've done in the past. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from doing that. It might not be feasible to do that every year, but maybe every other year we could shoot for that. We also, along those same lines, want to maintain an up-to-date list of state committee advisory member representatives. This is really important, so we are continuing to engage the appropriate representative, I guess, to attend our state committee meetings and participate and be able to engage with our advisory members to provide information out to our soil and water conservation districts. Touched on this already, but we would like to identify opportunities to expand our partnerships to other entities, whether that be a land trust, another conservation NGO, New York State Parks, the USDA Forest Service, other divisions within state agencies like the Division of Lands and Forests Brian mentioned. We want to continue to regularly participate in our four-way partnership meetings to engage with the NYACD, CDEA, and Natural Resource Conservation Service, just to be able to provide better support to conservation districts. And that last bullet is also included in our previous strategic goal, but something we felt was appropriate to include in both sections, but we want to seek or strengthen existing partnerships and cooperation for the development of our AEM framework. Advanced common conservation goals. Again, it might be easier to look at the actual plan, but this is all about advancing those conservation goals that are common to us all. So some carryovers from the previous strategic plan. We want to support the goals and objectives of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Clean Water Act, specifically Section 319. We've added in to an objective that will support the goals and objectives of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, as well as a recognition of the Environmental Bond Act that was recently passed. We would like to invite our advisory members and advisory member agencies to report on emerging issues, technologies, and opportunities that might be relevant to soil and water conservation districts. And again, provide opportunities for our advisory members to really be engaged in broad natural resource issues and policies during our monthly state committee meetings and through our subcommittee structure. We would like to proactively identify opportunities for district involvement in existing or proposed state or federal programs. This objective probably also could have been listed in our previous goal as well, but it's important to be mindful of all the different opportunities that are out there for districts or where districts may be eligible to participate to really expand the resources that are available to districts. If we as a state committee can't do it all, we want to work with our partners to be able to encourage them to involve districts in their programs as well. And I'll just round this one out with we want to keep relevant the DEC State Committee Ag and Markets MOU. This is a document that was put in place. It provides funding support for watershed-based projects that align with districts' priorities and programs, and has been a really successful tool to get funds out to groups of soil and water conservation districts. That is going to be expiring, I believe, in 2028. So when we get to that, we'll have to renew it. But we want to continue to showcase the work that is performed through the MOU, but also develop new MOUs with applicable state and federal partners that will serve the same function to provide targeted funding out to soil and water conservation districts to build capacity and get conservation on the ground. And then the last section, it just defines each of the state committee subcommittees, which are the District Operations Subcommittee, our Municipal Assistance Subcommittee, our State Programs Advisory Committee, and the Technical Advisory Committee. In each one of those sections, we have an objective to hold regular meetings and engage with districts and applicable advisory members. But we would also like to move forward by nominating, when we have an annual organizational meeting, nominating voting members to participate, not just on the Technical Advisory Committee, but on all of the subcommittees. That is something I talked with Dale about a little while ago, and I think was done in the past that we kind of got away from, and I think it would be a great way to engage our state committee voting members on these subcommittees, to learn more about what districts do in all of these various fashions. Ideally, I think we could nominate 2 voting members per subcommittee. We can't have 3 because then it turns into a formal meeting. But I just think that's an awesome way to get be more engaged with soil and water conservation districts and our advisory members. So with that, I will pause, I guess, for if there's any further discussion. I know. About any of these goals or, I didn't really pause for an opportunity to ask questions on the cooperative conservation goal, but wanted to hear if there's any discussion out there from voting members or anyone on the line. I do know there's a number of chats that came through, so maybe I'll exit out my screen here so I can read them.
Just want to mention for the cooperative conservation, Bethany, it's something I was alluding to. We may now have a second DEC Committee Ag and Markets MOU with the Division of Lands and Forests. So maybe just a quick update to say DEC Division of Water for the existing one, and we'll be expanding our cooperative efforts with another division within DEC. Necessitated by the Climate Smart Commodities grant that we are sharing, but beyond that, Division of Lands and Forests identified the need to work with us and facilitate district work in the world of forestry and reforestation efforts. So we're already executing this strategic plan as per Riffy and Wyndham.
So the first, I guess, comment that I'm just reading through in our chat is, I think, a suggestion, and if I don't get this quite right, please come off of mute and correct me, but it's a suggestion to add increase access to funding for watershed coalitions to increase staff capacity and provide technical support to improve water management or watershed management on a basin level. That current objective is within the comprehensive natural resources management goal, but the suggestion is to also add that bullet within the district operations section so that it is clear funding for county district staff and capacity is a priority. How do folks react to that suggestion? Oh, Amanda, your hand is raised. Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that my point was that while we talk about funding for districts specifically regarding state aid, the statement that was listed under the Watershed Coalition section seems to be much more broad. So I would prefer there be a much more broad statement regarding, very similar to this one, that just says increase access to funding in general to increase staff capacity and provide technical assistance in the context of districts in general under the capacity section, as well as just under the natural resources section. So that statement to me is very specific to helping coalitions get increased access to funding for watershed management. I would like to see us have a more general statement of increasing access to funding for districts, for operations, as well as just for overall natural resource programs. It's sort of alluded to already, but it seems a little bit more narrow than this statement where we have it referenced in the operations section, because it does talk about state aid. And I think we need to look beyond state aid for funding for district operations. And if I could add one more small comment right now, the comment about, or the discussion a little bit about, I was one of the people on the survey that said we needed help with administration. And for me, one of the biggest things is that secretarial help and support is not eligible for reimbursement. So under Part A specifically, secretary, administrative assistant, bookkeeper is not eligible for reimbursement. So that was sort of my thought, was that's an integral part of district operations. You know, gone is the time that we think about districts as just being technical assistance providers who are working under the auspices of NRCS or someone else. Having Secretarial and administrative support is integral to what we do in our administration of all these state programs. So it should be eligible for reimbursement. It's just silly to have that not be. That was specifically one of the things I was thinking we could work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate the comment about the staff capacity and am happy to work something in that is more specific in the staff capacity section. Do the voting members feel the same?
I do.
Yeah.
Great.
Districts gave out the cards.
I read the next one, Bethany, as you're looking at it as well, in regards to values and, increasing access to conservation program for underrepresented, underserved communities and farmers. Certainly, you highlighted that in a number of goals, throughout the strategic plan. So it was a question if it should be more prominent, right, in the value statement. Which, as pointed out, is a central issue within the CLCPA, and we also have a number of objectives to advance the strategies within the CLCPA scoping plan. Just want to point that out as well.
What are folks' thoughts about adding that type of a reference to the statement of values in the first portion of the plan?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to adding it or incorporating it into one of them that is there already, maybe, if that's possible.
I think essential theme throughout the strategy is increasing knowledge of district services and programs and increasing access to those programs. So say something like we value increasing access to conservation programs, ... disadvantaged communities, underserved, underrepresented farmers, as you have it, the wording and the various objectives that you highlighted.
I think if you can add something to it to make it, without having to add a whole new bulletin to it, if you can change the wording on what you have now in order to make it so it has that into it.
Okay.
I would agree. Kind of are there places where there might be a focal point? So local leadership as a point, partnerships, like there's both, and you were mentioning Brian, more kind of outreach and access, but is there anything that support structure, decision-making structure too, that we could look at as
Didn't quite catch all of that you were saying, Erica.
Sorry, reading over here and trying to talk over this direction. I can restate that. So just to Dale's point of where could we incorporate, I think what Brian was saying is something like the suggestion would add something that's like bullet point around outreach and access to programming. And are there places in the existing bullet points where we could also kind of reference in some of the decision making? There's the one bullet point on the local leadership, the decision making, like are we thinking about not just in access to programs, but kind of opportunities to engage in some of those leadership and decision making opportunities. But yeah, I was just trying to scan through and see if there are other points where to kind of include some language that's not just the outreach, but also these other existing bullet points.
So if we were to add language to one of these bullets, it was suggested that maybe the fourth bullet would be one that we could revise to, encompass some of these comments.
Something like focused on the long-term adoption of conservation practices and increasing access to new and beginning farmers and underserved, underrepresented, something to that effect. It's all there. I think it's all there in that bullet.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of aligning it more with some of the objectives that are noted within the plan.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Other thoughts on that?
I would agree. I think you can reword it a little bit to make it sound, to meet what we want to do it a little better.
Okay.
This one has to do with emerging environmental issues we've been talking a bit about. Get away.
Yes, so the next comment, recognizes that an emerging issue is the contamination of soils with PFAS that may require legislation to compensate and support farms that are found to be contaminated. We do recognize that there are other emerging issues to be considered. That one isn't specifically called out. Do voting members feel like we need to specifically recognize that issue, or just, in some of the objectives, we specifically in the comprehensive natural resource management section, we have some objectives that focus on or include like other emerging priorities to kind of like as a catch-all. Do we feel that's good enough?
In my view, it is, because it's not a huge, it may be a huge issue to the farm, but it's not a huge issue statewide. And I think it is addressed in that emerging issues, and it may become an emerging issue. I question that. But I think that we have it within the wording in order to be able to work on it now. And if funding is needed for it at some point in time for compensation, that's not necessarily in our area to go and be lobbying for doing that. But I'm not sure you need to call it out specifically.
And I suppose, if we are going to commit to an annual evaluation of our strategic plan, that's something we could revise if the need is there, or if we feel it's important to actually specifically call that out. There was another suggestion to provide more guidance on how to use cover crops in urban gardens. And how helpful that would be. I think that's also more broadly covered by some of our objectives that we have within the agricultural environmental management section of our comprehensive natural resource management goal. Would be to develop tools, planning, and implementation guidelines and training to, that can be used to encourage cost-effective BMP systems and the like. Should there be a specific reference to like urban agriculture or urban gardens? I mean, that is kind of an initiative that is becoming more and more prominent. We do call out, certain things like climate resiliency, forestry, agroforestry, nearshore aquaculture. Do we want to include a reference to urban agriculture?
It's certainly recognition districts are doing a lot of work in urban environments. More so, we took a tour of some urban agriculture operations in Warren County a little over a year ago, well, 2 years ago almost. And something to highlight, it's the way that we're also working with the broader efforts of the department in regards to community gardens and urban agriculture. So I was thinking that maybe an additional reference there under the way you had it on the natural resource management. Certainly, cover crops are a part of the need for urban agriculture. It's not the only one districts are working on, but certainly one that translates between both the rural and larger scale farming efforts and the smaller scale urban efforts.
I'd agree with Brian. And maybe you can just put down on it into it for examples or something along the urban agriculture line, because like Hamilton County and many counties do a lot of the urban agriculture, and it's just not sure how specific you need to be on every single thing if we can cover it broadly.
Yeah, I think if it could be added to an existing bullet.
All right. I think that sums up all the comments in the chat, unless I missed one. Given that we do have to make some additions, I want, to ask the question of the voting members. Do we want to hold off on approving the strategic plan until our next meeting to wait until those additions or edits can be made?
We don't have to have it done this month anyway, do we?
No, I'm already a couple months over my deadline. So
Why don't you just bring it at the next meeting, just bring in just the additions that you're going to put in, and then we can approve it, because the rest is all ready to approve anyway outside of the additions.
Okay.
Is that all right with everybody else?
Yeah, I agree with that myself.
I see heads nodding.
Good.
Good.
Bethany, this is Caitlin. Would it be possible to send out the document with today's incorporations to conservation districts for their feedback before it goes to the state committee voting members for approval?
Yep, we can try to get that out as soon as possible in advance of the next meeting. The current version, as I said, is available on the department website with our meeting materials. Not much changed from the version that was sent out to districts for comment back in January. But yes, as I get those edits incorporated in there, we will try to get it out to districts before the next meeting.
Amazing. Thank you, Bethany, and thank you, Dale.
Thank you. So with that, I will also say thank you all for being such a great audience. I will work on these couple of adjustments, and we'll bring this stuff back at our next meeting, hopefully for approval. And I apologize because I am a little bit over my time.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is important. I was kind of thinking you wouldn't be able to do it in an hour anyway. So. All right. Next on our agenda is reports. Darren, do you have anything?
I don't believe so, Dale.
Erica?
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, thank you. Bethany, I'm going to turn it over to you then.
All right, Matt,
No, I don't have anything.
Scott.
I don't believe so.
All right. We'll go around the room here. Brian.
Okay. Just want to wish everybody a happy Agriculture Day, Tuesday, March 19th. Commissioner Richard Ball sent a statement as a press release, just encouraging all New Yorkers to pause and recognize the hard work of our farmers, the 1% of our population that feed the remaining 99%, and celebrate the diverse and unique agricultural industry in New York State that remains strong. New York is home to more than 30,000 farms that rank among the nation's top producers, more than 30 commodities from plants and flowers to apples, grapes, and cabbage, to maple and dairy, multi-generational family-owned operations, large-scale agricultural manufacturers that have become some of the biggest names in the industry. New York's agriculture community is growing and producing products that are feeding families across the state and across the world. So just wanted to mark today, March 19th, just make sure everybody was aware that today is National Agriculture Day, and a really great statement from our commissioner. And also just one additional, if I can find. Did you bury it? A press release that was sent out today as well, or was sent out yesterday, and we forwarded to all conservation districts for their awareness, is Commissioner Ball announces the 2024 New York State Community Garden Soil Testing Program, something we were just talking about. This was included as a part of Governor Hochul's 2023 State of the State that will make $40,000 available to process up to 800 soil tests. Funding through the 2024 New York State Soil Testing Program, again, will allow up to 800 soil tests for eligible community gardens across the state to be processed free of charge to the organizations. Eligible applicants, including organizations managing food producing community gardens in New York State, which also include community growers. So this was a big part of the 2023 State of the State Plan from the Community Gardens Task Force, and also in its 2023 Community Gardens Task Force 2023 annual report. So just wanted to highlight that as well, that this was recently sent out to conservation districts for their awareness. This district's doing a lot of work in community gardens and urban agriculture as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did jot down a couple notes for myself just to share. I already mentioned this, but last week at the Water Quality Symposium, we were able to distribute a large number of cover crop signs out to districts, which was really great. Thank you, Ben, for taking them all out there in the van, and Melissa for organizing, getting those cover crop signs printed and
paid for.
And paid for. That's the really important thing. So I really appreciate that and helping districts with their outreach. I was fortunate enough to be able to participate in the Water Quality Symposium last week, which again, hats off to CDEA for putting on such an awesome event year after year. It's always so much fun. And I just want to congratulate all of the award recipients and recognize Shino Tanakawa of New York City. She's the New York City Executive Director who received the 2024 Willard Crony Award. So congratulations, Shino. That's it for me. Melissa?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Jennifer, do you have anything additional?
No, I do not, thank you.
Ben?
Yeah, I'll just touch on state aid real quick. I think last month I reported that all but 3 districts had qualified for the full Part A amount. Those funds were paid out like the end of February 28th or something like that. After that, I fully processed the performance measures reports. We had 56 out of the 58 districts that qualified for the full amount. 2 districts came up a bit short. But all that money that they did not qualify for essentially got dispersed to the rest of the districts. So that money was paid out to the districts as of last Wednesday. So they should all have it at this point in their bank accounts. That number for this year for Part C was just shy of $208,000 per district for those districts that earned the maximum amount. So pretty large award in total between Parts A, B, and C. District that earned all of the funding was looking at $273,832. So a lot of good conservation work can be done with that money here going forward in 2024. So I think that is about it.
Thank you, Ben. Tim?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Before going through the rest of the state committee staff on the line, I'll just hit some of our advisory members. Cornell Cooperative Extension, do you have anybody join?
Yeah, good morning, Bethany. Just wanted to highlight next week, ProDairy is putting on cover and flare tours on Tuesday. They'll be out at Stein Farms in Leroy, and then Thursday afternoon, be doing another one here at Fessenden Farm in King Ferry in Cayuga County.
Thank you, Dan. How about Cornell Cows?
Hi, everyone. I apologize again for being a couple minutes late. Just shouting out Dan's comments on the ProDairy tours. There's been a lot of webinars that are all recorded that ProDairy's been offering to helping farms to understand ways to mitigate greenhouse gas from dairy farms particularly. So I can put that link in the chat if anybody doesn't have that. Just wanted to highlight our Cornell Soil Health team. A number of you were on that meeting on Monday. Thank you. We had another good partnership meeting, a lot of participation from different people from the districts. I joined about midway through. The meeting was recorded and the slides will all be available for those of you who missed it. I think one of the most interesting things that I keep seeing is some of the results from our soil health testing and how we have, I'm just going to put it like this, how we have a ways to go in terms of soil health testing, soil health improvements in perennial fruit systems, which is really interesting kind of new work coming from that team, and probably something we haven't all done as much of a good job in the past as we could have when it relates to perennial fruit and perennial cropping systems. So I will stop blathering and just say, as always, really appreciate the partnership with soil and water conservation districts, and happy to keep the coordination and collaboration going. And thanks, I noticed Dan just put the link into the chat to the ProDairy program. I'll do the same for the soil health program. So for those of you who missed the meeting, you can go back and watch it. It was kind of fun. So thank you. I also really appreciated AFT's partnership because we have a new CIG grant we're partnering on that AFT is leading on that relates to biochar and some perennial fruit cropping systems too. So really fun activity. It's nice to see the growth of that program.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, how about CDEA?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Quite a few things to report on. The 2024 Water Quality Symposium is now in our rear view mirror. CDEA Vice President Jessica Armstrong dedicated weeks of her time to organizing what I think to be one of the best training sessions to date. We maxed out the hotel in terms of rooms and also classroom capacity. We would have been a fire hazard had we let any more attendees into these classrooms. What a wonderful problem to have. We have received some preliminary feedback on the excellent quality of our instructors, and many attendees said how difficult it was to choose classes that they wanted to attend because the variety and the topics were so relevant to our employees and our partners. I want to give a huge shout out to Ryan Cunningham, PJ Emmerich, and Vic DiGiacomo for tag teaming with me the new employee orientation. We had members of our four-way partnership attend, Blanche from NYACD, and I have to give another big shout out to Paula Bagley, who I literally pulled in from the hall into the classroom to represent NRCS. Brian and I worked very hard to overhaul that presentation, making it a little bit more relevant. And we wrapped up the day with trivia and a tabletop spinner. And we really addressed the acronym alphabet soup that the attendees requested that we cover, as well as the importance of our four-way partnership. I know that state committee staff spent a lot of time not only instructing classes, but also facilitating classes in the preliminary stages of organization. Hats off to all of you. Jessica will send out a statewide evaluation, so be on the lookout for that. We need your feedback for topics and potential instructors. She's also working on an RFP for larger venues to accommodate all employees who wish to attend next year. Our CDEA annual meeting was held during the Water Quality Symposium. The CDEA board made updates to our bylaws, policies, and procedures manual that was adopted with some changes. I also put our annual meeting packet on SharePoint, and I encourage everyone to take a look at the 2024 annual meeting packet. This includes reports from the CDEA board, our partners, as well as our committees. And it's really breathtaking to see all of the great work that was accomplished in 2023. CDEA is going to hit the ground running now that the symposium is wrapping up. During the managers meeting held during the Water Quality Symposium, there was a lively discussion about some of the complications that districts are experiencing with the DEC permitting process. Some are waiting 6 to 8 months to a year to have their permits approved by the DEC. Some districts work under a general permit, some don't. And these discrepancies statewide make it difficult for conservation districts to get the work done because they are waiting so long for DEC permit approval. I'm going to take a dual top-down and bottom-up approach, and there will be more to come with this as we flesh out our municipal assistance subcommittee meeting. I'm also going to compose a letter to partners describing these challenges, and hopefully they will be able to support us. I had a really great meeting with Jennifer Kelly and Greg and Scott about cover and flares and the challenges that districts are facing with selling this practice to farmers and also understanding this practice themselves. I hope that we came to a really good solution with offering trainings during the upcoming conservation skills workshop to be held during the fall. I thank Bethany for hosting the latest State Programs Advisory Committee, SPAC, meeting. And Again, I want to reiterate that CDEA continues to advocate for a non-ag, non-point source pollution program. And in reviewing the state committee's updated strategic plan, this is really aligning with a system that enables districts to adapt to an evolving landscape, including environmental, technical, and political. Our CDEA newsletter for February is hot off the press. I will put that link in the chat. Our next CDEA meeting will be held in May, date and location to be determined. And I'll pause for questions. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you, Caitlin. Did we have anyone join from DEC? Okay, how about Department of Health?
Yes, hi, this is Paul. Just briefly want to touch on a subject that really has statewide implications related to much of what we've been talking about today. And that is in the watershed, there are 83 conservation easements on agricultural properties within the New York City watershed, primarily in Delaware County. And all these easements are basically, it's kind of cookie cutter for conservation easements. Throughout the state, DEC holds the easements, although the actual money that goes to farms for the development rights actually is provided by New York City as part of their water protection program. Now, the communities and many of the farmers are concerned that would like the sort of the watershed conservation easement that's statewide. They would like to revise it to allow for things like construction, maintenance, and operation of utility infrastructure, crossings, potential renewable energy infrastructure, all these things of which are either you have to go through a lengthy process to get the easement modified or an exemption, or prohibited by the conservation easement. So everyone's been working together. Deputy Commissioner Paul Rush from New York City, high-level DEC people, ourselves, and the parties down in the watershed to come up with a model easement that would recognize, this sort of new reality of green energy that really wasn't contemplated, when the easements were originally made. Because the conservation easement, I don't think the model has changed on that, for many, many decades. Now, the most up-to-date information I can give on this is that the communities in the watershed would like the state to basically modify the current easements and turn them all into the new model conservation easement. And DEC's position on that is that it would just be too hard to do, and they would like to address things on a case-by-case basis, which sort of brings me to the permits that were just mentioned, getting DEC permits. Now, the community, they don't like that idea because they feel that DEC takes too long to issue permits. And many of these things, have long lead times anyway for green energy projects. So that's where things are at the moment, and don't know how it's going to work out. But I believe this would not just be conservation easements within the New York City watershed, but it would be statewide modification, the conservation easement. I don't go to these meetings, so I don't have any real details if anyone has any questions regarding this, but I thought it would be worthwhile for everyone to know about this. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Paul. Department of State.
Hello. I don't have much to update on, but I will say that the Skinny Atlas Lake 9 Element Plan is wrapping up. The draft is being reviewed by the advisory committee members now, and will come to DOS and DEC soon to start our review. Similarly, the Oneida Lake 9 Element Plan is still in process. I know they're doing some outreach events right now, and they may have just wrapped up, but I know in both of those cases, the districts have been pretty involved. So I just want to flag that. We also did fund this last round the Otsego 9 Element Plan, so they will be starting to work on that. So I encourage those districts to be involved, get involved as well. And then just for awareness, Atisco Lake is doing an update to their original DOS watershed plan. So while not a 9 element, they will also be examining issues and concerns, and also recommend the districts to get involved in that process as well.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
Lots going on out there for sure.
And thanks to all the districts who have been helping and providing a lot of insight, especially in Skinny Atlas. I know they've been really critical in identifying opportunities and realistic goals.
Absolutely. Do we have anyone join from SUNY ESF? Okay, and do we have anyone with NRCS that would like to provide a report?
Yes, I don't really have a report or anything. This is my first meeting with you guys, and I have enjoyed learning more regarding what you do and how you guys network and are comprised as a group. I really don't have a lot of information to share at this point, as New York State NRCS will not be offering a notice of funding opportunity. We typically do most years, but due to staff changes and turnover, it was decided we would wait, collaborate, and perhaps offer one next year. Those are announced on our site, and they become open opportunities for anyone interested. But what I am doing is I'm placing in the chat a link to a conservation innovation grants funding opportunity for fiscal year 2024. You can follow that link and you can get more information. There's even a contact person who's listed. These are not the type of agreements I typically work with in my capacity. I am the assistant state con for partnerships. As I'm new, I'm sure most don't know that. And we also have an individual in state who handles all of the conservation innovation grants, also known as CIGs. So for now, that is the newest funding opportunity, and just thought I would bring you guys an awareness on that. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Elena. I'm really glad you were able to call in and participate in this meeting, and I'm sure I speak for others here, but we're looking forward to your engagement in future state committee meetings as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to get back to the state committee staff who are on the line. Just recognizing we are a little bit over time, so I'll just kind of put it broadly out there. If there's any state committee staff on the call that would like to provide a report, please come off of mute and do so.
Bethany, thanks. This is Greg. I will be quick. I just want to say also congratulations to Jessica Armstrong and Caitlin and the rest of the CDA leadership team on the Great Water Quality Symposium, as well as all the instructors from districts, from NRCS, from Cornell Cooperative Extension, farmers, NGOs that made that tick and really brought substantial information and discussion to those trainings, and all the inquisitive participants in each of the classes. A few quick AIM base updates. The AIM base round 17 closeouts are well underway. Most of them are closed out. Lots of good projects, and we'll report on the outcomes of those when we have all the numbers tallied later this spring at a state committee meeting. Shifting to now the current AIM base round 18, some good news on contracts. I want to really thank our state committee staff and especially Ag and Markets contract attorney and the contract specialists in our fiscal division for all their help. As of last week, all 53 contracts for the 53 participating districts in AIM have been sent to the districts. And starting this morning, we had 17 of those contracts executed. And while we've been on, 14 more have rolled in. So we're at 31 of those contracts executed and sent to the districts. And that's excellent pace. This is really good timing. It exceeded our internal crystal balls, I guess, of when those contracts would be executed. So it bodes well for having that funding in place for this spring. Another note for AIM 18 is that the AIM Tier 4 BMP implementation project packages are due to the state committee on May 1st, and districts can check out Section 4. It's on pages 8 and 9 of the AIM 18 policy for the details of those packages. And lastly, just another plug for applications for the AIM Leopold Conservation Award. Those continue to be due on May 15th, and to support farms who have real conservation ethic, a track record of such leadership and communication in their communities, innovation, and support for their broader community and ecology. We're hearing good interest across several districts in the state, so that's exciting. We're really looking forward to those applications. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to get ours or to reach out to me with any questions offline. Thanks, Bethany. If there's any questions, you can do that. But otherwise, I appreciate the time.
Before moving on, any other state committee staff have a report to share? All right. I want to give an opportunity to any conservation district that is on the line. Here's your opportunity. If you have any reports or anything you want to mention, please feel free to come off of mute and share with the group.
Hi, this is Pete Hager from Clinton County Soil and Water. Yesterday, I attended the release of the Lake Champlain TMDL Watershed Implementation Plan. So after many years and a lot of input, we finally have an implementation plan that includes a lot of projects that the soil and water districts help to identify, and hope that it'll, help in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. And lastly, any members of the public who have joined today, if you have a report to share, please feel free. Hearing none, Dale, I think we are safe to move to our next agenda item.
Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting, it would normally be the third Tuesday of April. It would be the 16th. First to the voting members. Darren, what do you think? We're hoping to be able to do an in-person meeting if we can, if we can get enough participation.
You said what day? The 16th?
April 16th, third Tuesday.
I mean, it looks okay at this point for me, but we'll be getting busy that time of the year, so it's hard to say. But
okay, Erica, what do you think?
Looks like I'm available during a normal window there. The 16th, you said?
16th, yes.
Yep. That works for me.
Scott?
I'm trying to make it work.
Okay. Matt, what do you think?
It's good for me.
What do you think, Bethany?
That date is good for you as well, Dale, correct?
Yeah, the 16th.
Yeah, I think let's shoot for it. I purposely didn't put a proposed date on the agenda because I know these next couple months get a little weird with availability, so,
May
let's
gets into,
plan on,
yeah, if we go into May and try to do an in-person, that's planting season, and I know that
yep,
Scott and I are probably not going to be able to do it. Can you look into Utica to see if we could do it there?
yes. Yes, absolutely. So we will plan on April 16th. And like Dale said, we really would like to have an in-person state committee meeting. So we'll check into our Utica location and see if it's available and go from there.
All right. Well, if it's not or anything, we will be back in touch with everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it's going to be April 16th.
Thank you very much, Dale.
All right, no, not a problem at all. Next on our agenda then is going to be around CRF 8, and I have to recuse, and I think probably others do too. You want to explain all that, Bethany?
Yes, so pursuant to the New York State Ethics Advisory Opinion, we will need to ask all districts, with the exception of our CDEA designated representatives and farmers, to recuse themselves from the Round 8 CRF RFP/ratings sheet discussion. And because most of you are on the line, we just ask that you disconnect from the WebEx because this is the last item on our agenda. And then we'll give it a few minutes for folks to hang up, and then we'll proceed with the meeting. Since Dale has to recuse, Darren Hickling, our vice chair, will be stepping in to lead the meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Hope to see everybody in person next month.
Thank you very much, Dale.
Not recusing myself. I'll be right back.
Okay. So we'll just take a 5-minute pause, waiting for folks to disconnect. All right, Darren, I think we're all good to go here. So,
Bethany, there's still some people on the line here. Sorry.
Yes. Nope, that is all right. I do see one district person. Hold on one moment. I can just do this. Okay. All right. All others, we have advisory members, state committee staff, and our CDEA reps. So Jennifer, pull up the presentation. Give me a moment here.
So I've presented a few of the concepts from round 8. Today is the full round 8 RFP and supporting documents up for approval to move forward for announcing. So next slide, please. This is our tentative timeline. Release, after it's approved today, we can move forward with the next steps and release hopefully as soon as in April as we can. Proposals will be due June 24th with a ranked list to the state committee in August or September to shoot for announcing awards in September 2024.
Climate Week, right?
Climate Week, yes, that's what we're shooting for announcing during Climate Week. So these are the proposed tracks for round 8. This is something that you've seen before. We have federal funds that we are incorporating into this round, so that's why we have added 2 separate tracks for those federal funds. A 1B for cover and flare projects for federal funds, and a 3B for soil health projects with federal funds. Tracks 1A, Track 2, and Track 3A are the same as round 7. And we have a new track this round 8, agricultural forest management with state funds, which I'll dive into a little further below. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we have some climate smart commodities funding. This is a USDA grant that we were awarded. We're incorporating it into our round 8 and round 9 of CRF. The goal is to increase the number of awarded cover and flare projects to reduce methane and the number of awarded soil health projects to increase carbon sequestration. This not only aligns with federal goals, but it also aligns with our state scoping plan goals. Next slide, please. So these are the funding amounts that are with each track. 1A for livestock management, alternative waste management, and precision feed management. These are state funds. There'll be $4.5 million available. Track 1B for cover and flare. This is federal funds. These will be 100% cost shared at $7 million available. Track 2 has adaptation and resiliency. This is where our water management projects are encouraged, and state funds are going to be allocated to this track for $5 million. Track 3A is Healthy Soils NY. These are state funds. There will be $4.5 million available. Track 3B is Soil Health Projects with federal funds. There will be $7 million available. And new Track 4, the Agricultural Forest Management. This is state funding. There will be $1 million available. Altogether, this will be $29 million available for round 8. This is a big jump from $15 million available last round.
And
next slide, please.
And it's the biggest offering, right, of any state committee program that we've been able to put out, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
There we go.
In any one round, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Next slide, please.
Oh,
Next
that's
slide.
me. Sorry.
No problem. So reallocation of funding, the state funds will be reallocated as same as in past rounds. When there are leftover funds in a track, they are reallocated to another track until all the funding is awarded. The federal funds will be kept separate. They may be reallocated to track 1A and 3A where there are similar projects that if those projects can also meet the federal requirements, or those funds will be reallocated to round 9. So this is a breakdown of the cost share percentages for each track. It's an 80-20 cost share, except for in track 1B, where we really want to encourage cover and flare projects. We have federal funds in this track. We have $7 million available from feedback that we've received about cover and flare projects. We are going to kind of test out increasing the incentive in this and allowing 100% cost share. Also different is track 4 that has a per acre planting rate offered at 100% cost share that is exclusive to track 4. And then outreach and technical assistance is offered at 100% cost share. That is something that has been eligible as in past rounds. Next slide, please. The scoring has not changed this round from round 7. So the scoring criteria is 50 points per reviewer. So 4 reviewers, you get a total of 200 points per application. Greenhouse gas emission and reduction and resiliency is 30 points. This is one category. Adequate scope of work is worth 10 points. Budgeting and cost effectiveness is 10 points. And then we have a new participant and beginning farmer preference points. Those are 5 preference points added on top of the total 200 points if a landowner in the project is a new participant to our program or a beginning farmer. Next slide, please. This is the criteria for greenhouse gas emission reduction and resiliency. Projects need to clearly demonstrate capacity to decrease greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gas emission reductions are estimated using Comet Planner or other methodology. The project should clearly demonstrate opportunity to increase farm resiliency to a changing climate. Proposal addresses risks due to climate change, increased flooding, more frequent short droughts, more severe storms, and overall increased precipitation, and proposes methods of reducing their negative impacts on the farm operation and local environment. And then we also encourage co-benefits be described in the narrative. Next slide, please. So adequate scope of work includes feasibility of project is clearly demonstrated. The proposal clearly defines what is to be done, how it will be done, and how it aligns with the program goals. And the shovel readiness of the project is described. Budgeting and cost effectiveness includes the project is cost effective relative to the greenhouse gas mitigation and or adaptation benefits, and that the budget accounts for an unexpected costs. Next slide. The new participant and beginning farmer benefit is something that has been in since round 6. We define this as, or first off, there's 5 preference points that are available for round 8. This is the same as last round. So the definitions here are a new participant is a farmer who has not been awarded a CRF or Ag Non-Point Source grant, and a beginning farmer has not operated a farm for more than 10 consecutive years. This has been very successful in the past 2 rounds, bringing in 49 new participants into the CRF program that haven't participated in Ag Non-Point Source or CRF prior. So in round 6, that was 21 new participants. In round 7, that was 28 new participants. So also hopefully helping kind of diversify our applicant pool here. Next slide, please.
Do you know what kind of projects in general those new participants are?
A lot of them are soil health.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to put you on the spot, but like the total numbers for those rounds, that's a pretty high percentage of new
Those are
farmers.
awarded.
Yeah.
So not just
those are
applied.
awarded numbers, yes. So those aren't the number of new participants or new farmers that attempted to apply or applied to the program.
Yeah. So
Those are just awarded numbers, so
higher percentage.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
That's good.
For round 8, Tyler has been developing a new SW workbook. Our SW forms are budgeting, best management practices, personnel forms. These have been kind of separate forms. They've now been integrated into a single workbook, including more data into them that is preset for hopefully help districts more easily use them and report out these items. Next.
And he's been doing some kind of like individual piloting and training in some districts with this, so, and definitely will be available if there's any bugs and glitches to iron out while the application is live.
Upon some feedback from reviewers, it is strongly encouraged this round that pictures and maps be included with labels showing project location. This really just aids in communicating the issues being addressed or prevented and how BMPs will be implemented. It's not a requirement, but it's strongly encouraged and just clarified in the RFP to help reviewer or help applicants make a better application for reviewers to review. Next slide, please. Greenhouse gas estimates for cover and flare systems. This round, we have been working to standardize factors for the greenhouse gas reduction estimate for cover and flare systems specifically. They are not covered in Comment Planner. We've been using a equation from the IPCC. And in this round, we are providing more guidance on how to report greenhouse gas reduction estimates, and we are providing a uniform way to report that estimate to us using metric tons of CO2 equivalents using the global warming potential 20. So it's the global warming potential is related to our state's scoping plan. The state is measuring all of our greenhouse gas emissions on a 20-year time scale. So that is what the GWP 20 is for. It just emphasizes that methane is a high goal, a big target for us to reduce as the way that the state is measuring their greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide, please. So track 1A is the same as round 7, the livestock management, alternative waste management, and precision feed management, with a heavy emphasis on cover and flare systems. These are the eligible BMPs. It was expanded in round 7, and no changes were made to this list for round 8. Next slide, please. This is a new track just for federal funds. Track 1B is specific for cover and flare projects, and we will be utilizing federal funds. Applicants in this track will have to meet some federal requirements, but they will be offered 100% cost share for the cover and flare projects in track 1B. Track 2 is adaptation and resiliency. These will be New York State funds. These are water management projects and erosion control projects, as well as other projects related to adaptation and resiliency to climate change. Track 3A is Soil Health NY. These will be New York State funds. No changes were made to the eligible BMPs from round 7 to round 8. Track 3B is Soil Health projects with federal funds. This is just more of a pared down list of soil health type projects that we will be offering with federal funds. So altogether we have 11.5 million available for soil health projects between state and federal funding.
Jeff, for this list of eligible BMPs under federal funds, are those the ones that are all exempt from the CPA 52 requirement, or would some have to meet it?
I think grazing has to have it. I don't think this is the exact list, but cover crops are exempt from that.
Yeah.
Cover crops will be highly encouraged in track 3B because it will not have to meet the CPA 52 reporting requirement, and so it will, that would just be that one and no-till. So cover crops and no-till would be two practices that we would highly encourage in track 3B. Soil health testing will remain encouraged, but optional based on feedback we receive from partners through the TAC and SPAC meetings. The cost of soil health testing is 100% cost shared using our soil health policies provided, or provided rate. So track 4, this is new in our in the EPF fiscal year 24 budget. The legislature had provided a carve-out of $500,000 to maintain forests and woodlands located on agricultural land for the purpose of carbon sequestration and to promote sustainable and resilient agriculture and forestry. So with that, we created a new track 4 to offer this $500,000 for forestry projects. We included an additional $500,000 from the overall budget to bolster this track to offer $1 million for round 8. So track 4 is agricultural forest management. The goal is to support healthy, productive forests and afforestation. Eligible practices will be forestry and agroforestry systems from the Ag BMP system catalog, tree planting on open ag lands, and forestry work to enhance forest health and regeneration in existing forests on farms. In track 4, to help encourage afforestation, we have created a per acre planting rate. This is exclusive to track 4 projects. So this planting rate can only be used in track 4 for track 4 projects for afforestation. So it's a planting, or it's a per acre rate for tree planting, and then supporting BMPs like site preparation will be allowed at reimbursement at cost. Other forestry and agroforestry projects are eligible in this track based on site-specific costs. So eligible BMPs within track 4 will be within the forestry and agroforestry systems, tree and shrub site prep, tree and shrub establishment, forest stand improvement, and there are just a few others that may be relevant. So that is round 8. Our next steps are today seeking approval from the state committee, and then we are working with council on internal approvals. We will also be working with the press office to develop a press release announcing round 8. Hopefully that will be able to go out in April. And then once it is released, we will provide outreach throughout the open application period. And that is all I have. So if there are any questions, to backtrack on anything, or?
I'm just curious, under track 4 is it says several others. Is forest management plan eligible for funding or no?
So planning is not an eligible expense under CRF at this time. It's really just BMP's implementation. But planning the project, like doing a whole forest management plan, doing a project just for planning is not eligible. But to do a planting, if they're going to be doing a planting, they need an accompanying plan to accomplish that planting. That is eligible.
Yeah, and I guess my next question is, so you don't, in order to get funding for the track 4, you don't have to have a forest management plan. You would just have to have, like, if somebody's gonna plant this area, they've got to have a plan for that.
Correct.
But not not for the whole forest.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be, the plan would be project-based.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Matt, part of that is, it's a really good question. Part of that is because we wanted to go as opposed to wait with track 4 here. And, you know, we were further nudged by that with that portion of last year's budget. And so, you know, we want to put this out, but we, you know, can't wait for, it may not be a plan right now, like this date for that land. And so for some of these, you know, they'll be developed once they see the details in the RFP, they'll be put together, and then that definitely needs to be in place by the time they get to implementation. So some of it's a little bit of an artifact for us leaning into this and putting out a track 4 and you know, seeing and learning from it. And then we'll, you know, get more on the classic track of, you know, the forest management plan or tree planting plan, whatever type it is developed through, you know, AIM Tier 3A or an equivalent like from NRCS. And then that would be there and they'd use that to apply and then get funding for future rounds. So a little bit of an artifact of just this point in time and us starting this right now.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be my next question then, was in the future, is that sort of the goal is to have a plan in place when you apply for the funding?
Yeah, exactly. And like we do with other, you know, all the other practices. And part of the purpose of this track 4 is to also live and learn together, you know, collectively and better frame out the guidance for those plans. There are, you know, there's a forest conservation plan within the AIM-based program right now, which can start at a soil and water conservation minimum and go up through forest management, where you're looking at other resources and stand health and so on. There's forest management plan with NRCS. There could be a simple for scrubby or open land tree planting plan. And you know, we haven't developed that sort of guide or template yet, but that's work that we're looking to do, you know, in the next year as we get into these projects.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna, and just gonna say, you know, we were building this, you know, very much as a pilot, you know, with the funding from the legislature, and recognizing that in some cases, as we talked about earlier, districts are pretty far along in this. It's definitely going to be something that we're going to be relying on those districts applying for these funds to help, you know, with the incorporation of this moving forward into the future. You know, whether it stays as its own track or whether it's incorporated into other, you know, funding tracks, you know, all that's on the table.
I am crystal balling that there will be some districts, you know, those with foresters and have been working with farmers that make project applications based on existing forest management plans, because they're out there and it's been a handful of years since we developed that Tier 3A planning template for forest conservation plans, and you know they've been doing steady work with them every year. And there's some existing ones just from other reasons, NRCS programs or whatever.
Jennifer, this is Caitlin. Thank you for not only seeking district feedback, but really doing a beautiful job of incorporating our pain points and our concerns. I think this looks fantastic. I remember Chastity saying, you know, a lot of CDEA is like herding cats, but you know, you're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off at some point and just launch her. Like Greg said, you know, feel out how this goes, knowing that you can make adjustments. I think it looks great. You all did a beautiful job with this.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
If nobody has, you're looking for a vote on this, right?
Correct, yes.
So does anybody else have any other questions or comments? If not, I guess we need a motion.
I would make a motion.
So we got a motion and a second. Voting, Erica,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you very much.
I know the time for comment is over, but I just want to say the presentation and your delivery of this was great but doesn't do justice the amount of months, that you and others have put into this to get it to this point. It's just a huge workload to incorporate the federal funding, thinking back to the proposal that was written, thinking back to negotiating the scope of work, and then understanding federal requirements after all of that and how we incorporate into this program. So hats off, great work.
Yeah, good job, Jennifer, and everybody else.
Yeah, you guys gave us a lot of reading material this past. I finally decided yesterday to sit down, look, and I was like, oh no.
You were hoping we go through all of that really word by word, right?
Well, I'm glad that I wish the documents that were forwarded us to read ahead of time were as short as the slides.
There won't be a quiz on what was in it.
Awesome.
All right. Was there anything else we needed?
I think we're good.
Okay. Do we need a motion to come out of executive session?
It's technically not an executive session, it's just a recusal, so we're still in
Oh,
open
okay.
meeting.
Okay, so we just need a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
No, move.
All right, second?
Second.
We got the second, I heard you. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
great afternoon.
Thanks.
Yep,
Great
happy
job.
National Egg Day.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is a little irony in the forestry project, and